Hello everyone, Tommy with Studio Sense here. Thanks for stopping by to check out today's video. You know, every year the think tank or creative brains behind the fragrance ideas at Calvin Klein get together and they're like, it's that time again to release another CK1 or to release another Eternity flanker. You would think they would redirect some of that incredible amount of creative energy and dollars, money, into different things. But there is something to be said for that old maxim, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And that's really the idea behind the flankers themselves. And so today we're talking about two brand new releases. I call these new releases, they're new for 2023, and we're just coming down the hill from 2024. They are still considered new releases, and that is CK1 Reflections and Eternity. So we've got both of the brand new flankers to talk about today. We're going to take a quick look at the presentation, talk about the aroma, and whether or not this year is the year to pick up these two flankers or to hard pass and wait for 2024's version. I've got that and more coming up, so stay tuned. Welcome back everyone. So today we're taking a look at two very popular Calvin Klein fragrances. Doesn't it seem like Calvin Klein releases a brand new CK1 flanker all the time? It's really hard to keep up. For example, there's a CK1 Summer edition that they release every summer, and then the original Pillar fragrance line, CK1 itself. This year's 2023 is available now, and I wanted to give it a quick look. A lot of times they're just kind of meh releases. It's really hard to know how to feel about them, and a lot of people give them a hard pass because of that. But we're going to see if this year's CK1 Reflections, that's the name of the new CK1 fragrance, is one to pick up. And if today you're down for just a quick and dirty video, that's pretty much what we're going to do. I usually go through like a full-on filming of the presentation, the box, and you know, everything is as cinematic as I possibly can, but today we're just going to do a really quick overview of it. There's kind of a lot of colors here, but they're all representing the best of the summertime afternoon, like blue sky, green grass, green palm fronds, things like that. And that's basically what you're getting on the front, if I can show you that. It looks like a very palm tree, oasis, or beach-oriented fragrance. So the idea behind the fragrance is a couple on a beach having their own little intimate moments there, sharing time with each other, and that's basically the idea. Now, it's a big deal for Calvin Klein to be sustainable. So on the one side of the box, you've got your recyclable information. This is made from over half vegan materials, and the bottle is recyclable, and that's what all that is on the right side. On the left side, we just have more representation of palm trees. On the back is the ingredients listing. I'll get my face out of the way. On the back is the ingredients listing along with address information and some various other information. The bottom of the box has a batch code of 3026 along with the UPC. The top of the box simply says Calvin Klein, and here we have the fragrance. Now, normally it comes with the bottle cap on it. I went ahead and took that off and took the atomizer and pump, which comes separately in the box, and screwed it down on top of it. So that's the finished product, what it looks like. So I do like this. I do like the color scheme. I'm a big fan of green, any kind of variation of the green color. So this is gray and green. The CK looks like Century or Century Gothic font with gray on the front and green in the back. And then there's a nameplate that simply says 1 behind a green rectangle. The bottom doesn't have a sticker. It's just simply printed. The batch code of 3026 is also printed on the bottom of the bottle. And the bottle itself is transparent frosted glass, as are all the CK1 bottles. It's a good looking bottle, and it definitely has a summertime aesthetic about it. The bottle is a 3.3 fluid ounce or 100 ml, and it is an eau de toilette concentration. Now that we know what it looks like, the aesthetic and the theme of the presentation, let's talk about the notes. What are the notes that make up CK1 Reflections? CK1 Reflections features top notes of lemon and ginger, with a heart note of green iced tea, resting on a base of musk and woody notes. But there you have it, guys. Very simplistic scent profile. We've got ginger and lemon in the open, green iced tea in the heart. So green tea is very often seen in the, I think it was in the original, was it? Yeah, it was in the original CK1, come to think of it. So actually, that's why it feels familiar. If you have that same sense of deja vu that I got when reading the notes in this. So it's almost like going back to the original formula. So if you like that one, you'll probably like CK1 Reflections. The eye-catching color codes stay true to the minimalistic style and color hues that are typical of Calvin Klein and the CK1 line. The base is very simply an addition of musk and woody notes for a bit of weight, a bit of density, and of course the original woody green feel and appeal. But I'm going to show you kind of close up what the spray looks like. Put it on a litmus here. Boom, boom. Of course, you're getting just a medium kind of quality pump and atomizer with this fragrance brand. So this is a unisex fragrance, but they're starting to use the term gender inclusive instead. So that's the new unisex. So get used to that. I think Calvin Klein started it, maybe somebody else started it, but gender inclusive is the new unisex. So that's what this is. And I have to say, they did a good job of making it kind of appeal to everyone. Of course, it's very easy when it comes to citrus and ginger. Ginger just packs a punch in a citrus fragrance note that would simply be there and then gone again. So it adds some life to it, and it adds some additional breadth and depth to it. And that's what's happening in the open of this. So you get just an eye-opening breath of fresh air with ginger and lemon in the open. Of course, the green tea is what's enveloping this whole thing. That's what I'm getting a sense of. Green tea has a very pleasant, light, bitter, almost vegetal, but it's more in terms of fresh green, like green leafy. The woods and musk add a kind of heavier density to it, a weight to it, that provides CK1's formula with a bit of that grab-and-go cologne feel. Okay, let's get down to brass tacks. When would you wear this? It's a summertime fragrance. Built into the presentation, it pretty much tells you everything. It's definitely there for a mass-appealing, crowd-pleasing, summertime, fresh-it feel. So it's more along the lines of green leafy and fresh citrus. Pretty much all you get. So it's a relatively simple fragrance. A lot of unisex fragrances, at least in my opinion, feel like feminine products to me. They smell like, you know, something that they spray on to make them appealing. That's just the sense that I get in a lot of them. I don't get that sense in CK1 Reflections, so that's a positive. I think they did a good job of not straying too far from the original formula. In fact, going back to the drawing board, embedding that into the DNA. So it's the original DNA with a bit of a modern uplift in a summertime scent. You know, when you buy a new car and that depressing feeling, of course, it's exciting to buy a new car, but you also have this kind of counterbalance of depression, because as soon as you drive it off the lot, the bottom just drops out of the value of the vehicle, depreciation. And that's kind of the same way with CK1. As soon as it's released, it's pretty much at discounters. And so you can definitely find it right now at FragranceNet.com for under 35 bucks. Very well worth it for that price. Again, it's a quick grab and go, spray on, fresh, clean citrus, a little bit of green leafy there, musky, woodsy base, and that's it. And then later on, you can spray something else on that's more your signature style. Not saying this couldn't be a signature scent, but I don't think it's really designed for that because it just doesn't last long enough. So it's worth 20 to 30 bucks, somewhere within that spectrum. It's worth owning. All right, guys, now let's take a quick look at the other very popular Calvin Klein flanker that you're here to see, and that is Eternity Reflections for Him. Now, of course, as they always do, they released a feminine version of this, but we're going to focus our attention on the For Him version because this is a men's fragrance channel. So let's take a quick look at the presentation. Eternity for Him. The box has kind of a gradient where it's kind of blue-gray at the top, and then you've got your actual graphic of a sparkling fairy absinthe, they call it, which is into real fragrance note. You'll find out it's just absinthe, but it's fairy absinthe in this case, I guess, whatever. Sparkles coming off the water, which again is indicative of everything that's great about being at the beach. It says eau de toilette, so it is an EDT concentration, 3.3 fluid ounce, 100 ml bottle, which is typical for Eternity. The sides are just kind of a wraparound continuation of that graphic. On the left, on the right side, the whole sustainable idea with the recyclable carton. It's like 30% recyclable carton, 10% glass recyclability there. On the back, it says it's a vegan formula. It gives you the ingredients listing and then some address information if you're at all interested. And I know you can't really see that, but it's not really that important. The bottom has a UPC with the batch code of 3136 for any interested, and some additional stickers there. And that's pretty much it for the presentation. We're going to open this up, and guys, this is the first time I've actually opened this, so I really don't know what to expect, but this is the bottle. So there is Eternity Reflections for him. The bottle is said to pay tribute to the colors of summer. The tranquil blue bottle is made from lacquered glass and topped with a silver cap, evoking the summer sky and sea, while remaining true to Calvin Klein's minimalistic aesthetic. Actually kind of a cool looking bottle, you know, give you kind of a clear view of that glass, pun intended, because it is transparent. That's the bottle. On the bottom is an adhesive sticker with that batch code that I mentioned earlier. And of course the atomizer is a shiny silver, which is typical of Eternity. So now that we know the presentation, let's talk about the notes. What are the notes that make up Eternity Reflections for him? Eternity Reflections for him features top notes of absinthe, Madagascan mandarin orange, and mint, with heart notes of cedar leaf, chocolate, and lavender, resting on a base of oak moss, Madagascan vetiver, and sandalwood. So here we see a little bit more of a complex formula, and I really appreciate that about Calvin Klein and Eternity, is they give you pretty much all the notes that are used to make up the fragrance. So now that we know what's in the fragrance, I'm going to give it a spray or two on a litmus strip. This one has a little bit better of an atomizer. I know I'm spraying the heck out of it. Yeah, it's definitely more evocative of Eternity. I'm not necessarily biased, but I do like several of the Eternity flankers. Really like this. Of course, you can't go wrong with chocolate and mint together. They even have that in ice cream, and in many different confections they use chocolate and mint together. What a great summertime fragrance smell, and a fresh kind of combination of notes that evokes that in this. So really, without even needing the litmus, I'm smelling it in the air. I don't really get a sense of chocolate in this, but you really shouldn't. It shouldn't be overwhelming, but I do get a light, powdery, musky sensation that is part of that whole chocolate thing with the mint together. It kind of reminds me, at least a little bit, of L'Homme Ideal Cool by Guerlain. This is a great fragrance, and it has that same kind of overall thematic feel to it in the DNA. Super appealing. You know, I'm usually not surprised by the Eternity flanker. They all smell decent, you know, because they're going for that crowd-pleasing appeal. They can somehow become a bit generic in doing so. There's nothing generic feeling about this. That's what I really like about it. Over that minty freshness, there's this nuance of kind of a powdery, heavier, musky feel that is likely the chocolate and mint combination. A good bit of lavender in here as well, which is typical of men's fragrance these days. Sandalwood gives it a more of a creamy intake, and that's a great combination with the chocolate mint overlay. Nice surprise, and what a nice summertime fragrance. I could definitely see wearing this right before you go to the beach, spraying it on, especially if you're going to have an encounter with someone that you're intimate with or want to be intimate with. It would be a great fragrance for them to smell on you. I'm really surprised. I'm actually happy to have this one out, and I'll definitely give it some wear. There are several popular fragrances that use the note of mint really well, not effusively, just enough to be super fresh and super clean feeling, and that's where this is headed. So I'm much more happy with Eternity Reflections for him than I am CK1 Reflections for everyone, although there's nothing wrong with that, but you're getting a much better quality fragrance in Eternity Reflections, which is not surprising because it's their, if not the best-selling fragrance by Calvin Klein for men, it's in the top. So guys, that's my first impressions of CK1 Reflections and Eternity Reflections for him. I think they're both worth owning. Eternity Reflections, like CK1 Reflections, is also available now at discounters for I think 34 bucks, very similar to CK1. So, but it's a better fragrance, so even more worth that discount rate for sure. I'll leave the links below if you want to check either one of those out. Highly recommend it. I'm not going to do a full review of CK1 Reflections because I've told you what I want to tell you about it, but I'm going to do a full review of Eternity Reflections for him and give you some additional information about the life cycle and everything. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in to today's video. I really appreciate you checking out these two fragrances and watching my first impressions as I'm being impressed or not super impressed by them. Also, thanks so much for your continued support here on my channel. I'm Tommy with Studio Sense, and I'll see you tomorrow with another video review.